welcome to Crowbar Kernel Panic, the podcast at the intersection of Linux and gaming. This is episode 34, and the first episode of 2023. We're back, baby. We took a little bit of a impromptu break, only a couple weeks there. I think we missed like one episode, but we're back and better than ever. And I don't know, that it's really just more of the same, really. But we are we're streaming live on YouTube, Twitch, and to Facebook, all under Crowbar Kernel Panic. You can send us an email at crowbarkernelpanic@pm.me. You can join us on Discord. I have a link to the Discord in the show notes. And you can find those show notes on your podcast catcher, or anywhere podcasts are available, and also on crowbarkernelpanic.com.
Hey, at least we didn't start a Twitter.
Yeah, really. What a time. I did almost start a Mastodon. Man, we didn't podcast during any of the like Mastodon blew up. Twitter was like going crazy. Yeah, we didn't do shows during that.
It just didn't fall at the right time.
Did you? I already had a Mastodon, but like the way Mastodon works, you make it on someone else's like federation or whatever.
Yeah,
I had no idea where my account was, so I just made a whole new one.
I was in the same boat as you. I made an account way back, like I'm talking before 2020.
I remember us talking about Mastodon forever ago. Did you run a Mastodon?
No, I did not. Okay. I looked into it and it was like a disaster.
Yeah, you gotta have email.
I ran a Matrix server.
That's right.
Which they're also in trouble.
Really? What's Matrix?
Yeah, apparently they're not getting nearly enough funding, and they had to lay off a bunch of people.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made one and I thought, oh, this is gonna be me, baby. I'm all in on Mastodon. And I will say I have done more Mastodon posts than Twitter, but that's because I never did Twitter. So
did you make a Vivaldi account?
A Vivaldi account. I think I already had one. Right now I'm logged into person one.
So therefore you have a new Mastodon because they have an instance and they link it to their account.
Oh, that's pretty neat. Neat.
Except for the problem is that whenever you go there, it's all in Chinese or Japanese or whatever.
Oh yeah, because all their users are on the same one, and they probably have a large Chinese base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a Vivaldi account, but and I can log into it, but then I think whenever I did my CPU upgrade or something, I had to reinstall my OS, and I haven't logged into it since.
Oh, okay. I was just curious because I know you'd have a Mastodon then.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I joined like a Linux and beer and like craft beer Mastodon.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I just joined the general like tech.
I don't really drink beer, but I feel like I would.
Me neither.
I would like the people that hang out there though.
Yeah.
I think.
I know, right? Yeah.
They're probably really cool people.
If you can drink beer and do Linux, you got something going for you.
No, that is a huge thing. That's a huge thing. Like, dude, craft beer and Linux goes hand in hand. It's like such a, I don't know.
Because it's like beer is like open source drink.
It's like beer and hockey. Beer and Linux is like beer and hockey. Or maybe beer is just beer and everything.
Beer and everything.
Yeah. We're not as special as we think we are. Beer fans are just everywhere. It has nothing to do with Linux. So how was your holidays? How have things been since the last time we were together?
It was all right. I was kind of sick for the first kind of half of it, so it's kind of like annoying. Yeah, but I mean, it wasn't horrible. It was just a cold or something because I got tested for everything under the sun and nothing came up. So I'm like, okay, good. But I've had this cough. Luckily, it's gone away for the most part. But man, I was coughing up until like 2 days ago, like hacking up a lung.
Yeah, everybody's getting the flu right now.
Yeah, I know. Several of our friends did too.
Other than the dog problem, wife had she had a very small wreck, but the way modern cars are now, I mean, like you would have thought she was going 55 miles an hour. I mean, she ran into somebody from a complete stop, and the person she ran into was moving, but it was on like a road. The speed limit's like 25, and he was like a super old dude. Like he wasn't like neither one of them were probably going over 25 miles an hour. mean, she wasn't even. She was literally at a complete stop and then started moving.
Yep.
But if you look at both of their cars, I mean, he couldn't even drive his home. Like demolished,
Gee. Yeah, they're like paper.
built to destroy.
Well, I mean, they're built that way to save you for the most part, except for the plasticky stuff on the outside. That's another story. But like
Yeah,
how the frame crumbles, it's built to save you. So it is built like to crumble. So unfortunately, that's just how it goes. But at least you're alive.
yeah, really. I'm trying to think of any like holiday gaming stuff that I did. Like, I really have not like played that many games since our last podcast.
Mm.
Been playing Star Trek Online.
Okay.
I've been playing. Downloaded I downloaded a couple old MMOs because that's my thing. Is I build a super expensive gaming PC so that I can play 15 and 20-year-old MMOs. That seems to be my
So
my
so
entertainment.
let's go back 20 years. If
Yeah.
it was 20 years ago, right over the holiday, I'd be doing all the RuneScape like
Oh
holiday
yeah.
events. Because they always had holiday events. You got like an item. I have
Yeah.
several of them on there still. I have my account. My friend, he actually started RuneScape from the very beginning, and he has every single holiday item through the entire like up until he stopped playing. I bet you he
Crazy.
could sell his account for like a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pretty wild how there's like people out there that will buy like I used to have
Yeah.
my Steam account used to be low digit number.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just had it for so long. Like I got it like Counter whatever the one before Source.
Right.
1.5, 3.5, whatever it was. And so I had like a really low number Steam account, and people would always be like trying to buy it from me, or that would be like a
Mm.
point of credibility. Like someone would be like, "Oh, he's got a 4-digit Steam account." I can't remember how many. I don't have that account anymore. Yeah, I have a
My
more
account is
modern
my
account.
original, so I don't
Yeah,
even know what number mine is. It was way back, so
you might be a I think it was 6-digit. I think if you have a 6-digit account.
I don't know.
But we have a few news items, not many, that we're going to go over today, and then I kind of just because we haven't done the podcast in a while. And then thought we want to pick a 2023 challenge, and I also kind of wanted to talk about 2023 goals and maybe there was any kind of goal or progress that you made in 2022. Talk about so. I guess we
Right.
could start with X11 is almost dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's definitely almost dead.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. Because I'm using X11 right now, but at the same time, this is to be expected, and I don't think we should be investing. I'm not investing anything, but I don't think people should be investing a whole lot into like upgrading or improving X11. We should be moving all of our
Yeah.
efforts to Wayland, right? Like that should be
Yep.
the goal.
Yep. I mean, Nvidia every release they keep improving the Wayland session and all of that. So even they are coming over to the industry standard, the new industry standard, I should say.
Right. So I didn't do this on purpose, but all three of our stories today is all Phoronix. Phoronix is a great website, but I didn't do this
They
intentionally.
have all the stuff, man. I mean,
They
if you
do.
want to go for data points, they have a ton of them.
Oh yeah, dude. They have so many like comparison reviews, but like every time I look at them, I'm like, this is way too much detail for us to try to go over on a podcast. Like
Yeah,
I never use.
it's
those
almost like trying to
articles.
listen to Gamers Nexus.
So X11 development pace hits a 2-decade low.
Wow, I'm looking at
Um,
this chart. Holy crap!
yeah.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be news to you that most of the corporate-backed developers working on the Linux desktop are no longer investing in. That's another thing too. They pointed out corporate-backed developers, which
Mm.
talking about Red Hat and things like that. Like I didn't think about like we look at this from the perspective of somebody that's like, well, I use X11 because World of Warcraft runs better through X11.
Right.
It doesn't work on Wayland. But there's not. We're a niche audience in the Linux community. I mean, most people using Linux, the applications that they run for like their Red Hat server at some corporation somewhere, or even if it's a home computer,
Mhm.
unless they're a gamer, they don't care about X11 anymore. I mean, Wayland basically is way past the point of like just being a usable desktop environment. Like it's so far beyond that
Yeah.
like the likes of Red Hat and Fedora, like they, although we have a really cool gaming article coming up that involves Red Hat, but I would think that they are ready to just, they have no reason to stick around on X11. They're completely dedicated to testing.
Yep.
So that's my mixed emotion about it is whenever we get to the point where we're ready to rip the Band-Aid off and, there's no longer a need for X11, it's a detriment to have it on your system versus using Wayland. Like, are my 15-year-old MMO still going to run on Wayland? Or are we at the point now where, like, I won't be sacrificing anything by doing that?
We'll need a Wayland a X11 compatibility layer.
Right. Oh, yeah, well, Wayland, I think that is a thing. Well, I know that is a thing, but like, yeah, we'll have to have
X Wayland. Yeah.
yeah. We'll need it for like old versions of DirectX or something. This year saw just 156 commits. So that what they're doing is basically they're comparing the Git commits, then charting it out and showing that it has flat line. You can follow the article in the show notes to read the details, but essentially not committing changes to it anymore because
it basically looks like it's back to like 2003 levels, which is, yeah, that's bad. It like peaked in 2008 with over 2,000 commits, and then now it's down to like, oh yeah, it says right here 156. So yeah, it's dropped a lot in the last what is that, 20 years, whatever? No, not quite 2015.
I don't know. Scary progress for an old, but it's good.
Yep.
We also have thanks to Valve, HDR begins to work for Linux gaming. So this actually,
oh yeah, I saw this before. This is a good one. Yeah.
Yeah, this one's really cool. So I had this in the show notes under a different under a different article than the Phoronix article, but I thought that the Phoronix article was more concise than the one I originally had, so I switched it and then started the show. I realized that no, now I've made it so that everyone. So this is how this came to be. I mistakenly did. So thanks.
Oh yeah, so Ancient 24 is the one who posted this originally, or at least
Yes.
he posted this. I don't know if you saw it or not, but that's who posted it on our Discord.
Yeah, I think he posted a direct link to this.
Mm-hmm.
So, thanks to Valve's incredible work on Steam Play and investing in low-level Linux graphics stack improvements, the latest milestone being achieved is HDR, high dynamic range support beginning HDR support beginning to work. Pierre Lou Griffas, oh god, I'm sorry, Pierre, of Valve's Linux team announced today that HDR support in games is beginning to correctly function. Tweeted and they have a copy of. He tweeted out this morning, new Linux game milestone. With the latest work from Josh Ashton. How about it, Josh Ashton? HDR can now be enabled for real games. Tested it tonight on my AMD desktop with Halo Infinite, Deep Rock Galactic, Death Stranding DC. Very early, and we'll still get those. Got to get that walking in, carrying a big ass ladder, whatever he's doing. Try to eat, better not topple over. Need some time to bake to be. So, yeah, this is in development for Steam Play. He says he tested it up on his desktop PC. I thought this was in development for the Steam Deck, actually. But it seems like they are just just a Proton. Like they're just working on putting it
Yeah.
in play.
Well, that's cool though.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, it would have worked either way because anything that basically gets built for the Steam Deck, that just improves Proton. So
Yeah.
it works. It's great for everybody, even if you never own a Steam Deck. Great for you. In any event, very exciting milestones and great to see HDR support beginning to work games on Linux. HDR support for Linux desktop has been an area years, has been a work in progress. Suite has and it really
Yeah, I know.
sorry.
Don't do it, man. Surprised the link's still good.
Yeah. They let you view it for a little bit and then it pops up. So yeah, this is really cool. I saw speculation that this could be leading to like more improved Steam decks, like do HDR. Then they could try to put like a
Yeah.
better screen deck. I don't think that the Steam Deck will ever be like. I think the sole purpose of the Steam Deck is to try to run things like they would have to increase the hardware to have a higher resolution. They're gonna always.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
they're gonna
think if
bottleneck that
and
720.
yeah. Well, I think if AMD or Intel, depending on, how it goes, can improve the performance enough that they can justify a 1080p screen, well, maybe they'll be able to do that. But it's all dependent on the hardware manufacturer if they can get the power out of it. Because the Steam Deck, like you said, is great at 720p, but you bump it up to 1080 and it starts to get a little flaky depending
Yeah,
on what
it's
game you're playing.
pretty bad in most games. It's a fantastic handheld device because your eyes can't really tell the difference at
Right,
all.
at that small size.
But
Right.
if you try to game on the desktop mode, very noticeable.
Right.
Uh, although I still want to try the challenge. That's our 2023 challenge. Podcast from the Steam Deck. I still want to try
Oh
to set up a
yeah.
podcast from the Steam. I totally think that's doable.
Oh yeah, I'm almost positive that's doable.
Yeah, it would totally work. We need to do next episode direct from the Steam Deck.
Do you have a dock for it or?
I don't have the cool dock that came out for it. I have a Lenovo USB-C
Oh, okay,
thing.
so that should work.
Yeah, it's like actually for my work computer, but it works
Right.
on there. I want to get the cool little like dock thing that they.
Yeah, the little stand.
Yeah,
That looks pretty sweet.
it totally could do it though. It totally could do it.
Yeah.
So this is great. HDR coming to Linux. And dude, if anything could possibly be said about 2022, and I know that we said it about 2021 on Ventcast, Valve has had the biggest impact on Linux gaming at
Oh yeah.
least 2 years in a row, probably 3 years in a row. Probably like since 2020, Valve has had the biggest impact on
Yep.
Linux gaming is not even a category anymore. Like I feel like when we started this podcast, it was like still
Mhm.
kind of hard, but now I don't even consider like whenever a game is on sale on Steam, I just buy it because
Yep.
I'm like 100% positive it's going to work.
Right.
The only thing you have to watch for is like MMOs that use some sort of anti cheat that might.
Yes, the anti-cheat is still the contention point
Yeah.
for Linux gaming.
But other than that, and even that, there was like some progress made on that recently, but apparently, like I guess Valve
I haven't
had.
heard about it for a while yet.
Yeah, well, what my understanding is like Valve made it available, but it wasn't
Mhm.
just like, oh, it's going to work now for every game. Game developers still had to like take their
Oh.
package and
Yep.
implement it in their project, and so I mean, most people just they're not doing that step unless they're
Yeah.
trying to target the Steam Deck, which that was another prediction I remember us making a while back, is that people would begin to target Proton specifically.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely, now that the Steam Deck is out, I'm seeing developers that are intentionally targeting this.
Yeah. And they
I
actually
know,
know what Proton is, you know?
yeah, and that game, the game I talked about the last episode, the RPG that I was playing on my Steam Deck. I mean, everything
Right.
about that game, the resolutions that you can choose, Like everything about that game, you can tell that it was designed compatibility for Steam, 100%.
That's cool.
I think it was like their sole they were developing for. Well, in conjunction to this very news, we have Red Hat planning a hackathon, Hackfest, to further advance HDR support on the Linux desktop. So, and Red Hat is still awesome, even after
Yep.
they got bought by Lenovo.
Yeah, I know. I feel like they haven't changed a bit, pretty much. I mean, there was a slight worrisome things happening right in the beginning and towards
Yeah.
the first year, but then after that, it seemed to mellow out, and things have kind of been like, whatever.
Yeah, I don't know that I've heard anything really like. I don't think I've heard any. I don't know.
The
It's not
yeah,
something I look
and
into either, but
yeah, but I mean, the biggest thing that there was the whole CentOS 8 thing, and the problem with that theory is that it had to have been in the works before IBM bought them, because it was so close to that
well,
time that
in
there's no way it wasn't in the works beforehand.
so 8 was such a different 8 was so different than 7 in that it was like more of like a rolling distro kind of thing. I'm no longer a Linux sysadmin job. So I'm a little disconnected from the Red Hat world, but at that time I remember that was the big panic was like 8 was announced and everybody we were like just migrating to 7 and it was like, "Oh god, what are we going to do when we get to 8? It's going to be different." And then on top of that, CentOS was like from now on, we're no longer just going to be a clone of 8 because we're not going in that direction. And
Right.
I don't know all the reasoning behind that, but yeah, like you said, I think it was more than just like, oh, well, Lenovo bought Red Hat, so now we're not going to mimic there because there was other dramatic changes to besides just
Mhm.
besides just
Mhm.
that. Um, so Red Hat has been among the key Linux stakeholders working years towards the ultimate goal of ensuring the Linux desktop will have suitable high dynamic range HDR support in place. They are working to organize a hack fest this year to further the progress being made on HDR application home desktop as well as associated open source graphic driver. So this is really cool. Um, Red Hat is planning for a multi-day hack fest, work on the Linux GPU stack and GNOME shell components around HDR support. Goals. The main goal is to plan the next 1 to 2 years of work and direction how to support HDR, other new graphics technologies that are exposed to the final user Flutter and Shell. Um, in addition, the second main goal is to discuss, plan, and agree on how to improve KMS Wayland API.
Yep.
To better accommodate user space needs these technologies specifically necessary for H. The third main but optional goal for the UXD team to discuss the next iteration of shell design and expose their need to graphics and shell motor engine, gather feedback on what's feasible and what API. But it sounds like this is more of like a conference or a meeting to discuss like like the long term future of HDR. That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
But cool. I don't know. I wonder what I didn't think in 20s 2016, 2018. I would not have predicted that by 2022 have the Linux desktop that we have now. And
Yeah. No way.
I can't imagine. It seems like it's exponential. Like I can't imagine what
Yeah.
is going to look.
I
Pretty
know.
cool.
It's gonna be. Yeah. I don't know if what Linux is ever gonna take over Windows.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to slowly steal away market share if things keep going in the way that it's going now.
Well, I mean, I think it's so Linux for the first time recently. I had an article about for the first time recently, like overtook Mac for developers. So like what
Right.
developers prefer, and also if you include, but I think that was only including the what do they call it on Windows, the Windows subsystem Linux
Oh,
or
subsystem for
whatever.
Linux. Yeah.
You included that, I think is how they came up with those.
Yeah.
But with I don't know, I could foresee on the so I know that Windows has done a lot of things in the last couple of years that has like pissed Valve off. Like
Yeah.
they've sort of made threats of things, made certain changes that have made it harder for game developers and game releases. But I also think that like they have a huge incentive because Microsoft actually they make games. They own Bethesda. Um,
Right. Yep.
they have a huge incentive for better gaming on Windows. So
Mhm.
those hurdles could be kind of short lived, and they're not really like I don't know. So I don't know. I could foresee a day where people like you and I that are like really enthusiasts about gaming PC. You know, we build our PC like having like a hot rod car in your garage where you want to
Mhm.
tweak and control every little aspect of it. And I see a lot more of those people switch to Linux. Like I think that's kind of like our community.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you.
So talked about the holidays. 2023 challenge. Ready? Are you ready for a challenge, baby?
Oh man, I'm kind of ready.
So you threw it out in the Discord, and I think we've kind of settled on one. I wanted to talk about some of the options. So of course, everybody does an Arch Linux challenge.
Yep.
I just think that's too played out. Everybody does an Arch challenge, and it's really not as hard as you think it is. Well, I don't know. I don't know. It is fun to do an Arch challenge because you really like learn the little details you didn't realize. But I think a Debian challenge would be of similar be of similar nature. So like we like are you talking straight vanilla Debian? Like
Oh
Debian
yeah.
stable?
Yeah, yeah. Either the firmware or the free version depending on what you can get going with your computer because obviously some computers you can't, use the non-free version that doesn't have the firmware in it. And I was thinking, so for me personally, I can't go SID, which is their like bleeding edge, like Arch basically
Okay.
version. I can't do that because of the NVIDIA driver, and that's just going to keep breaking
Yeah,
because
that's
of
what
the
I'm worried
kernel.
about too. But yeah, okay. Yeah, I see what you're
But
saying.
but
We need a more
testing,
stable kernel. Kernel. We need a more
cur-
we need a more stable kernel.
but Debian testing
Yeah.
is more. It's rolling, but it's not so fast like Arch. It's got like right now currently it's got like the 6.0 kernel, so it's not like the bleeding edge, so it'll work with the NVIDIA driver, and by the time it gets to a newer version of the kernel, the NVIDIA driver should be updated enough to get there.
Okay.
The thing with me personally and Debian 11 is that the GNOME version, which is another thing that I was going to say, I was going to do the GNOME version, but the GNOME version is like 3.34 and I can't stand anything less than 40 now. 40 has ruined me for GNOME. Like that's the only one I'm going to ever use.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I'm with you there. I might actually I'm going to do KDE. So another suggestion in the chat,
Yeah.
Dale was to do KDE. I think it was from Dale.
Someone else said it too.
Reluctant.
Oh no, Dale said Budgie.
Ancient 24 said to do
Yeah.
KDE. Yeah, Dale wants us to do Budgie. I'm interested in Budgie. I would totally
I
do.
don't
I would totally do Budgie.
Yeah, I don't mind Budgie at all.
I don't
It's
think it would.
basically like Gnome, but like themed a little differently for the most part.
That's it. I don't
But
think it would be different enough for me to feel like it was like a real challenge. You know what I mean?
yeah, right. Um,
Because I ain't
but I
used
just
KDE. I haven't used KDE since like before Plasma. Like I haven't used it in so
oh,
long.
dude, you're gonna oh my gosh, that's gonna be like shell shock. It's so different. It's crazy.
I think I
It's
think
good. Don't get me wrong. It's very good for someone who wants to like customize everything about
oh,
their
okay.
desktop.
I do like that
Like
sort of thing, or I used to.
if yeah, I mean if you want to get into that, you can do almost anything with KDE. I mean look at Garuda Linux. Um okay, I just reviewed that on Distro Hoppers Digest and
Yeah,
Garuda Linux is a disaster. I'm not going to
yeah.
like sugarcoat
I
it.
don't like Garuda Linux. Yeah, we did it on
But
here
look
too.
at how they themed KDE. That is KDE, and it looks so different. Well, I'm just using it as an example of theming KDE, and it's like or Plasma. I should say, it's just crazy what you can do with it.
I'm on Debian's website right now, and I'm trying to tell you, I can't even. I know I'm doing a podcast at the same time, but like I cannot even figure out where
No,
to
dude,
download there.
you are totally not even off base with that because their website's a disaster. It's
I've been
so
clicking.
so the best thing you can do is type into Google, type in Debian, whatever you want, 11 or testing or whatever. Debian testing, ISO, non-free. And you should somewhere in that search result see what you want.
Let's see. Let's see. Oh, it goes to like a direct, like one of those directory.
Yeah,
With the,
that's what you have to do. You have to do that to get
find
the
it.
ISO. You have to search through that until you find the ISO you want.
Yeah, people think the Arch Wiki is bad.
Oh
This is
yeah.
so bad. Arch Wiki's great, actually.
Oh yeah, ArchWiki's amazing. I love the ArchWiki.
All
But
right, so I have 11.6 non-free. But how do
so
I?
okay, so you are going to have a problem probably with that with 11
Yeah.
because it's only on 5.10 and you got the newest AMD kernel or CPU. So, I don't know how well that's going to work.
Oh man, I've already lost this challenge. I already lost this challenge. I can't even. I can't do the Debian website challenge.
No, you can find it. It just takes a little bit to navigate their like wording. It's yeah. Basically, you got to follow the links of AMD 64 until you get to the one that says Debian testing ISO. Eventually, you'll get there.
All right, I'll figure this later. Podcast. Um, yeah, we did the Linux Mint.
Yeah, that one's pretty good, but again, like I said, you're probably gonna have a problem with your new CPU.
Yeah. No, I'll do legit. I'll do legit Debian. So of course, someone said Gen 2. I'm not
Yeah,
doing.
right.
I'm not doing Gen 2. It's Gen 2 much. Um, this burned my Windows 23 that Reluctant posted. Um, that looks insane.
Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't expect that. I was like, holy crap.
It's some kind of wild like up on the got like all these like little bubble interfaces things.
Yeah. You know what? It looks like it's based off of Rick and Morty.
Yeah,
Because
I thought that maybe is that this guy's theming or
I think it might be that guy's theming, but
right the little like you do like it's almost like in Elder Scrolls Online where you have the little quick menu that pops up and you pick one of the options.
yep.
That's what it looks like. That's so crazy. Well, it's kind of like a fancy open box. Have you ever used the open box desktop manager?
Yes, I have. I haven't used it, but I've seen it before.
So it's like you click on your desktop and then a menu pops up and it basically is just like a normal menu. It can narrow down through that menu. But there's no like menu button on your basically this looks like a really nice, like graphically nice version of that. You click on it, bubbles come up, but then you can navigate in sub bubbles.
Right. Hey,
Um,
I got you the Debian testing link.
send me that thing on Discord.
I already got it.
I need it with KDE, but you know what? At this point, I'll just
You
install
get to choose.
KDE.
You get to choose your desktop.
Oh, during installation?
Yep.
And fancy, not even a different ISO. This is the world we're living in now, 2023, baby. So yeah, so we're gonna do Debian, straight Debian, gaming and everything. Probably going to kill myself, and and I suggested 3 months. Leo took that offer. Leo said definitely 3 months. And but I'm gonna go ahead and say right now, ain't no way I'm doing 3 months. You suggest you suggested
watch. You're gonna install this. You're gonna love it. You're just gonna want to keep it forever.
No, not at all. I'm sure it can't be that much different than the. If anything, it's harder to use than the Linux Mint Debian edition. So,
well, I'm going to tell you one thing. When you get to the login screen, you're going to know that there's something wrong because it just looks like garbage for KDE. I don't know why, but I'm just like, oh, this is so bad. Like compare it to Kubuntu, and it's like there's no way.
So here's the thing. Leo's not watching. If Leo was in the chat, I'd ask him, but Friday night ain't nobody. If I would do 3 months. All right, here's what I'll say. I'm gonna do a month on Debian.
Okay.
I'm gonna install it. But I'm gonna suggest in the Discord, and we can put it out to people if they want to leave a comment on this video. I would do longer than a month if I'm allowed to use Linux Mint Debian edition. I'll do 2 months. 1 month Linux Debian, 2 months or possibly more LMDE, because I think I could live with LMDE. I've done it before, close enough to Linux Mint. And really the difference between Linux Mint and Linux Mint Debian edition is the Debian management. Is you're having to like add your repository to the Debian package. I don't even remember how to. Another thing too that for me always was Dora was like a nice kind of thing because it also kept me in the loop with what I would use at work. So like if I ever needed to learn how to do something on my home computer, well, it was beneficial because the same if I was on Red Hat or CentOS. So like But with Debian, I feel like I'm not getting any of that. If I learn how to do something on Debian, it's only good for my home PC. It's not really helping me outside of that. But I like a challenge though. I think this is fun. We need more challenges.
I'm just curious to see how the gaming's gonna be, and I don't know if
it's gonna be awful.
I don't know. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe it'll be good.
I know. I know.
I know it's gonna be horrible.
I'm 100% sure.
No. So this is the thing. This is my problem right now. Is the NVIDIA drivers? I have no clue if there is an easy, quote unquote, easy way to install them, or if I'm just gonna have to go right to NVIDIA, download their drivers, and manually install them.
No, you don't have to do that. I did this on LMDE, and I imagine it's exactly the same. You'll have to find their I forget what the word for it. I don't think they call it a repository, but you have to find their equivalent to whatever that is, and then there's a file that you have to go edit, and you have to add that line to that file, and then you'll be able to update your packages from directly from NVIDIA.
Interesting.
So I'm sure we'll have.
I'm just
going to
ask ChatGPT.
Hey, I'm about to ask. Because if before the end of the show, chat agrees that that LMDE counts, then I'll. This makes this a whole lot easier. I'll do it for 3 months if they say does LMDE count. If it counts, I'll stick to it if it counts.
Does LMDE count?
Yeah. And I'll do KDE either. Try out KDE. Can't guarantee.
Okay, there, deal sticker.
You know, it might be easier. It might be easier to do the stable version of Debian, but since I'm doing KDE anyway, you know. But you said no. You're ruining the. You're ruining the. This is a bad survey. Oh no.
No, I'm just kidding. No, LMDE is close enough to
close.
vanilla.
It's pretty dang close, man. I think
it's the only way I'll use cinnamon on Debian, though. I could tell you that because.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that. LMDE is going to have cinnamon, so I won't be able to use KDE unless I install it. Like
don't do that.
But I don't want to.
Do not do that. Yeah. I've done that. Don't do it. It breaks things.
Yeah. I used to do that.
Also, don't try to upgrade to testing from stable on LMDE. That also breaks things.
Yeah. All right. I'm gonna do Debian Edition stable or Debian stable. KDE. I'm gonna do. Oh,
but if that fails out, you can switch to LMDE. Like 1 month evaluation of Debian and see how that goes, and then after that, LMDE if you can't.
Maybe that's a good compromise. All right, so, all right, do it. Episode I'll be on Debian. May not be a podcast next week because.
Well, I'm going to give you some reassurance because I am currently on Debian testing right now doing this podcast.
All right.
Yep.
All right. That's good. Maybe no video, just audio only.
I'm using the Nueva whatever drivers right now, so I don't know how that's gonna work. Getting the NVIDIA drivers installed, but
what if we try? What if we did a challenge of? All right, let's do Debian first because that was suggested. But I got another one after that. I think we should.
We'll just do quarterly challenges.
Yeah, I was gonna say this will just be the year of challenges. So another challenge we could do is we should let's try like around like the end of February. Let's try Wayland. Let's try no X11. We're gonna game on
just
Wayland.
Straight Wayland.
Wayland all the time. Yeah.
I would be 100%, 150% behind that if I was on AMD right now, but being on NVIDIA.
Yeah, I'm on NVIDIA.
Oh man, that's gonna be rough.
Like
I even have problems with Steam on NVIDIA. Well, as it stands right now, I don't know about the newest NVIDIA driver, but I've had problems with Steam in general. Like it'll flash and it'll like screw up the where the text is and switch back to X. It's fine.
Since my CPU upgrade, everything is running smoothly. My CPU right now is running at 49 degrees Celsius. But
wow, just doing this?
Yeah, it's always hot. That's like normal. That's even whenever I'm running games and things. It may shoot up to 49. It almost never goes over 50. But the idle temp is always high. And
wow.
we talked about in a couple episodes ago about how the way these CPUs are designed, they have this like thicker lid. And
yeah, significantly thicker.
Yeah, and it's got that thick lid, baby. And it's it makes it run a little hotter, quite a bit hotter. But they're also just like, hey, that's the new norm. Like 40 degrees, that's cool, baby. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. 40 degrees is the new 20.
Right. So I've just been trusting that everything's okay, and everything does seem to be running fine. And it doesn't go much higher than 50, or it never goes higher than 50. Now that I've switched to a custom loop, but even on my all-in-one it rarely went over 50. So it's got a high like idle.
That's crazy.
But there's been a bunch of other complaints. I think Dell pointed out in her chat article that talks about how like scratching up the lids. There's a bunch of like weird design flaws that they ran into.
AMD has been not doing too well in the design side of things this round. Their new graphics cards. So it's not official yet, But from what I've seen on YouTube and the reviewers and all
Are they
that
lighting
stuff,
on fire? They're lighting people.
well, I mean,
The
kind
wires
of.
melting like
not,
NVIDIA.
not literally, but
Yeah.
apparently the coolers, the vapor chambers are not designed properly, and the hot spot of the CPU is just like outrageously hot. Like it's ridiculous, almost like all the time when you're putting it on load, and it's a serious problem that. I mean, even the AIO people are going to have problems with because they're going to if anyone uses their vapor chamber, it's like
Yeah.
they're done.
Yeah, I hadn't read that yet. We'll talking this week. I apologize. This show I didn't want to miss, but also didn't have much time to prepare. Kind of winging it, but kind of like these episodes where we do that. But yeah, I'll definitely read about that and talk about it next episode. And I kind of wanted
No,
to
I was just mentioning it quick because I was just kind of like saying like
yeah.
the design aspect
I
of things
wanted
has
to
been
do.
kind of just off.
I did some tests my old CPU. I did get the name of the one with all the asteroids that Vulcan.
Oh shoot, I can't remember now. I
I
know what one you're talking about, but I can't remember.
I did some tests with that on my old CPU before I switched, but I haven't done new ones on the new CPU because I was worried about the temperature until I got the custom loop installed. And so now that I've got everything set up the way I want it, I want to do some tests there, and then maybe next episode we can talk about the differences between those.
Okay, that'll be
CPUs.
fun.
I will tell you right off the bat, spoiler alert, if I were to recommend a Ryzen processor today to someone, it wouldn't be the one I just bought. And it's not because I don't like it. I just don't think it's the best value. I got it on sale and I was kind of spending some like extra like fun money kind of thing.
Gotcha.
But I think as far as like the cost, like the value goes, there's a better, more valuable CPU, and I bet you know what it is. But I will say, so the problem I was having with ESO,
Xeon baby.
yeah, no, the problem I was having with ESO is completely gone. That was definitely all due to my CPU.
Awesome.
Yeah,
I had the same thing.
yeah.
When I upgraded my CPU, that problem pretty much went away.
So if you're like me and you like playing, well, that's not a really old MMO, but if you like playing MMOs, games where you're like having to keep other people on your time, CPU people are investing in their GPUs when they should be investing in their CPU. Trust me. You probably your bottleneck is probably not where you think it is. So
title of the show.
2023 goals. Was there any 2022 goals you feel like you just made like you made like a ton of progress on? Maybe something that you wished you
I mean,
made more.
To be honest, I graduated and I got a new job, an IT job.
That's a huge one.
I mean that I can't even, top that with anything else.
Record time too. So many people graduate and then like spend years looking for a job, and you graduate.
Oh, I know. That's what I was worried about.
Yeah, no, that's what my wife struggled with. That Well, our plan when we got married was he was going to graduate sooner than me, and we said, okay, well, you'll graduate, then I'll just work till you find a job, and then I'll go back and finish school, find a job.
Right.
I still have not went back. We've been married for 13 years. I still have not went back. It's tough. I mean, she's found a job now, but like it's tough. It took several years, and then in my situation, I worked for years, and then finally just kind of stumbled into career path that I'm. But it was like a pure luck and happenstance kind of. It's tough. That's a huge success. Really proud of you for that, Josh. Graduating and job that. I don't know what mine is. I don't really have one. I should have thought of one while I was doing all that monologue. I think my goal for 2023 I want to continue growing in the ways I did last year as far as my career, but I want to do or I want to do more podcasts, and I want to do more creative things where I'm not just doing
Mm.
the same thing every week.
Oh, speaking of creative things, I mean your Unity stuff.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
I would say that was a
Whew,
win because
I
I
want
mean
to
you really
finish.
learned a lot.
Yeah, and I so here's the thing about that is I learned a ton, and I would tell you the biggest thing I've learned is that I bit off way more than I can chew. I this is a
Okay.
way bigger project than I thought it was going to be. I feel like I'm never going to finish this thing. And so my goal
So
for
just
next
scale
year
it back.
yeah, my goal for next year is to finish this game and in whatever, like, I'm going to have to scale it back. I can't make the game I originally
Yeah.
wanted. So in whatever way that I can, I need
Expansion packs, baby.
well, I was thinking what I'll do, I might do like an episodic thing. I might, cuz I'm not
Yeah,
going to
exactly.
I don't think I'm going to charge for the game. So I'm just going to I'm going to release it but even with that, there's a lot involved in this.
Yeah.
I was really more focused on like the sort of like how do I get the game to work the way I want it to? How do I when you have an object on the table, how does the character go up and pick that up and now it's in his
Mhm.
and then you can go to if it's a key, you can go to a lock, and because you have that key, now you can and then it destroys the key. Allows you to use it so many times or tells you you don't need it anymore. Right.
Right.
I was more thinking about those things, but what I've found is really hard is like, okay, now I've got to build a level. And like that is like super hard. I'm like, I don't even know where to start. I got to be an architect. I got to know how to design a building and then populate it with stuff. And like
And make
that's
it look like it's actually a real thing, like not
yeah.
just stuff thrown about. Yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
that should be my so here's goal number one. I want this podcast to be more creative. I think that's why I like the challenge thing. That'll be a lot of fun. We'll come up with other stuff. And then goal number two, I want to finish that game. I want to, in whatever way, shape or form, finish that game. And that could be hard to do in 1 year. I mean, I'm gonna have to simplify it. I can't make the game that I was planning to make. I'll have to simplify. I had an idea for a game. Kind of scared to say it on the air. But I'll say I don't know the plot or anything. So I guess I'm not really giving away. There's probably other games like this. What I'm about. I was originally trying to make a survival horror game. For one thing, that seems like what everybody tries to do whenever they're making their first game. I think that it's just influenced so many
Right.
people. Um, there's a lot of indie survival horror out there, and a lot
Mhm.
of them are good. A lot of them are awful. So it's a wide berth, baby. Um, but I was thinking, what if you did that type of game where finding items, solving puzzles, trying to work your way through some sort of mansion or some sort of place, and then it's survival in that like you have scarcity in your resources and
Mhm.
all of
Mhm.
that, but you set it in like a fantasy, like almost
Hmm.
like a Dungeons and Dragons survival horror.
Hmm.
Um, so kind of toying with the idea of scrapping everything that I've done so far on the one game, but I did learn from that. Now I know how to make the character,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
instead of the character being a modern day character in a modern world, I could use 'cause for one thing, there's a whole lot more fantasy stuff that's available. Because I can't make 3D models and stuff, and so I'm gonna have to buy those things. And fantasy is a whole lot more available and looks more consistent. Whereas like modern stuff, you look at one developer and their stuff is like super cartoony, and then you look at another developer and it's like, and it's like, well, I kind of have to
Right.
pick. Like these two things won't look right together.
Right.
Whereas
Right.
fantasy, there's a lot more options, so it's more likely you could find things that would work together. So I I might toy the idea of doing like sticking with the survival horror theme, but doing something in a fantasy.
Hmm.
And
Okay.
I run a D&D campaign. I also thought about running my players through a survival horror like type story and then
Hmm.
taking that however they decide to play the game, taking that and using that as like my story development.
Yeah, like your template for it. Huh. Interesting.
That's a cool 2023 goal.
Yeah, I like
Good
it.
one.
I like that.
Um,
Yeah.
what's
Oh,
your
I hit one of my goals already. I should say.
this year?
I forgot to mention.
Only 6 days
I
in.
got I upgraded my storage
Holy cow! You haven't even
on
put it
my
in. You haven't even put it in yet.
Nope, I literally just got them the other day. I've been testing them because they are used.
Them. How many do you got?
I got 3 and I'm going to get a 4th one eventually.
Oh,
Because I should have got 4 but they were expensive, so I was like I'll wait until I have some more money.
this would be another. That would be another good goal. Because I've never had any sort of backup or media like
Oh dude,
server.
I'm backing up everything now.
I have nothing like that. I've always lived under the philosophy that I could refresh my computer, reformat at any time, and except for so my thing is podcasting. So whatever podcasts I have not posted yet,
Right.
back that up. Beyond that, I delete everything. I don't keep anything, and once I post a podcast, I delete everything that was used to make it. Um,
Hmm.
and
Interesting. Okay.
family photos and stuff. I mean, we have my wife has some of that stuff backed up just on accounts, but we don't have anything set up for like a like our like something that we own. Everything is through some service or something.
Right.
And honestly, it's not a big thing for us really. It probably should
Mhm.
be. It should be bigger. So that is a really good thing that I should look in.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest stuff that I have are like movies and TV shows, and
Yeah.
that's my main reason for upgrading because, well, my one storage pool is like 95% full, so I need to upgrade.
I we talked about it on a an episode not too.
Hmm.
I recently realized that games are like impossible. I never feel like I need to have a TV show library or anything like that because like we
Mhm.
pay for
Mhm.
streaming services because of my son. So like I used to have all of Star Trek, TNG, Voyager, and Deep Space Nine. I used to have all that on a hard drive. Then it was like, well, it's on Netflix. Why do I need to back it up? Then
Mhm.
even after it left Netflix, I think it's left Netflix now. It's on Amazon. It's on, like I'm like, do I really need to have this like a copy of this laying somewhere? But like through doing this podcast and you and I talking about old games, and then I go try to
Right.
emulate them, I'm discovering that like there are situations where like you just can't get that game anymore. Like it does not
Mhm.
even it doesn't matter what you're willing to pay for it. It does not exist.
Yeah.
Um
Yep.
and yeah, so that's something I've thought about is like a server to back
Game
up
library.
like game libraries. Yeah, because yeah, we don't
Yeah.
realize that stuff it seemed impossible to go away at the time.
Mhm.
Definitely
Well,
can.
that's what I'm like thinking we don't even have kids yet. And I'm like thinking ahead at like all the shows that I used to watch, like saving them, like my
Yeah.
like kid shows and stuff like that, and having our kids watch that kind of stuff because like to be honest, personally, I don't like any of the new stuff. Like I don't want my kids watching half of this new stuff that they have on TV.
Yeah.
Um
Son's been
and that's just
watching
my personal preference, but
has been watching old Scooby Doo, and it's funny because like
oh dude.
I can remember it, like
Yep.
I can remember what's about to happen. I'm like, holy crap,
Yep.
I've
Yep.
seen
Oh,
this
I
in
know. I love that.
30 years. I still remember
Yep.
these shows. Yes, that's something else that's interesting. We'll have to follow that along on the podcast. Are you planning on doing like a like some sort of like rack or something or some sort?
So currently I have a desktop actually that Dale gave me,
Okay,
his old server. And I have a little 4 bay like USB, well it's not USB, it's actually eSATA um drive on the side. So I have up to 8 drives I can put in there altogether. I really would like to get a just dedicated like server desktop that has front bays that you can just pop in,
yeah,
but a lot
yeah,
of those are pretty expensive, and I don't want to spend the money on those when need to be buying drives.
yeah. If anybody listening wants to tell us what,
Yeah,
um, all right, well, any other ones or we rounding out this thing?
I think I'm good. I think that was a good episode.
Yeah, man. I think so. I'm glad we did it. I can't wait to get back. This is going to be a good year. Everything fell on me. I apologize for shows. We were doing good of like doing one a week there for like
Yeah,
a
we
month,
were. Yeah.
and then that happened.
Yeah, well, it happens.
Yep. But the dog's doing good. Glad she's doing good.
Me
We
too.
gotta
Me
give
too.
her a shot every day. Still getting used to that, but but it is, my wife mostly does it.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Because Bo will
listening.
just faint. No.
No, I've done it twice, and both times it was like I thought about it all day. I'm gonna have to do
he's just like, I would be exactly the same way. So I'm not even. Yeah, I don't even want to think about that.
All right, thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Peace.
Yep. See ya.